A warm welcome to your Barbados Today Evening News Update. Today, Wednesday, December 9. People must matter. Today, Tourism Minister Senator Lisa Cummins called on employers in the tourism sector to communicate with their laid-off staff. In recent weeks, scores of tourism workers have taken to the streets demanding outstanding severance payments and charging that they have been unfairly treated by their employers. Addressing the fourth quarterly meeting of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association meeting this morning, Cummins urged employers to step up to the plate and connect with their workers.
BHGA members, people must matter. I want to commend many of you for keeping in touch with your workers. I want to commend you for communicating with them. I know many of them have been off since March, but I know that there are many of you who have been speaking to your workers on a weekly or a monthly basis. Your HR directors have been writing with them and communicating with them. But at the end of that, there are also members that I want to call on in this moment to reach out to your members if you have not done so far. Reach out to your workers if you have not done so far. There are many of us that cannot be too far removed from the people who have worked with us day in and day out, year in and year out, that we cannot connect with them at a real level.
At the same time, she charged that some interests with a political agenda have been stirring up unnecessary strife.
This is not the moment for political strife. This is not the moment to take advantage of people's pain and their suffering and their struggles. This is not that moment. We know that there are some people who are protesting who have never approached their properties. We know that there are some people who are calling every day who have never gone to a labor office, who have never come to any members of the BHGA, who have never come to the Ministry of Tourism. They've never gone to any of the agencies that allow for dispute settlement, but they are being stirred up for different reasons. This is not that moment. This is not who we are.
In other news this Wednesday, changes are coming to elements of the Barbados Employment and Sustainable Transformation Plan, BEST, that offers a scheme to the island's hotels and tourism facilities to weather the crippling downturn in business triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic. Word of this from Prime Minister Mia Motley last evening while speaking on the Caribbean Economic Forum.
So far, we've had just under 30 hotels apply. We always knew that the hotels that were owned by multinational corporations were unlikely to come in because of the structure of preference shares. But we recognize that after entreaties from the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, that there may be some hotels who would prefer to take ordinary debt rather than to have preference shares, and we're reviewing that now.
The forum, hosted by the Central Bank of Barbados, examined the topic, Repositioning Caribbean Economies, Lessons from 2020. CARICOM Chairman, Vincentian Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves says COVID-19 has led to a bloodbath of Caribbean economies. And while the International Monetary Fund is projecting 4% growth next year for CARICOM countries, the region's economic woes are likely to worsen before they improve.
The aftershock is going to be as hard or even harder than when you're going through the actual period of the COVID pandemic. And that is the case throughout. So we can't minimize it.
Alejandro Werner, who heads the IMF Western Hemisphere Department, told the forum multilateral institutions must do more to help countries recover.
The countries have to build their policies to respond to the pandemic. And hopefully, within that context, we and the rest of the institutions, the international financial institutions, we need to support those programs with sufficient financing. So that's the work we have to do. I take Prime Minister Gonsalves' words. We're already late in doing that. We need to accelerate our job on both sides. And plan for the worst and hope for the best. If somehow this vaccine rollout changes the environment in a positive way, then we do have what we said in terms of financing, etc., because the countries will need less than what we expected. But in that sense, we need to be planning for a very bad scenario. We need to have, the programs to support the households and to support the firms, as have been described by both prime ministers. We need to mobilize the international community to do that. And and then we start rolling those programs out.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news, in Trinidad and Tobago, Police Commissioner Gary Griffith is advocating for women to be allowed to carry pepper spray to protect themselves. His call comes days after an 18-year-old female was found dead in Santa Cruz.
The focus here is this. This here can save the lives of women.
Police Commissioner Gary Griffith intends to make a recommendation to Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi soon that approval be given to allow pepper spray to be regulated. Similar to what is done with firearms, Mr. Griffith says these items can be registered for users to ensure that pepper spray do not get into the hands of the wrong people.
So I understand the Prime Minister's concern, and he is correct. We do not want this to get in the hands of everyone. But what I am recommending is that this here can be a regulated item where it is registered for each and every person who wants to get pepper spray. You have it registered. So it is similar if this is considered a firearm. Just as you have a firearm user's license, we have it regulated and registered to make sure that the persons who have it, they sign for it and we know who has it.
Mr. Griffith, meanwhile, is concerned that out of all the applications received for firearm user's license, 95% are from men. He adds that there are currently over 30,000 applications, with just over 1,500 applications being approved per annum. Mr. Griffith is now encouraging women who are interested to apply for a firearm user's license.
Just to inform all women in this country that there's nothing against a woman having a firearm. A firearm is something that can be an asset to you. There's no need to be fearful of a firearm. Firearms do not kill people. People kill people.
On the international scene, Boris Johnson has arrived in Brussels for last-ditch Brexit trade deal talks with the EU chief. He warned before leaving that the EU is insisting on terms that he cannot accept. The clock is ticking to reach a deal with only 3 weeks remaining before the transition period expires. More in this report from Euronews.
The problem Boris Johnson is facing is that Ursula von der Leyen is under a mandate given to her by the 27 EU member countries. She cannot stray very far beyond that. What Boris Johnson is going to ask her, apparently, based on what he told the House of Commons today, is to change those red lines from the EU on the level playing field, on governance and on fisheries. She just isn't authorized to do that. On the other hand, he is authorized to violate the UK's red lines because those red lines are his and his alone. And also the EU side knows that he has the votes in the British Parliament to pass a deal that does accept level playing field guarantees and a compromise on fisheries. So this is kind of an uneven talk, if you will. On one hand, you have Boris Johnson, who has a lot of power, a lot of leeway in these negotiations, and sitting across the table is President von der Leyen, who at best can only just relay a message to the 27 EU heads of government and heads of state. Now, they will be meeting here tomorrow, just further behind me here at the European Council building.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.